All right. Let me stop the theme music. This is Conspiracy Theories and Chill. I'm Sean. I made this video about 3 months ago and played it for you guys on an episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill back then. But I'm doing it again today, not only because it only has 24 views, as you can see right here, but because I just want to get it out again, because the point of this video is an important point. And the point is that conspiracy theories aren't, conspiracy theorists are not the crazy ones. We're the sane ones in the nut house. We're the ones that are actually asking the important questions and trying to get to the bottom of things. So I wanted to show this video again because I recently was on this episode of this show called Truth Wanted, and they interviewed me about being a conspiracy theorist. And it made me think of this video, because this would have been a good video for me to share with their audience. And maybe I'll add it in the comment description over on their video, because I shared the link in the description today where you can check out that interview. It's about 47 minutes long, but I think it was really interesting. They were two smart guys. They conducted a really cool interview with me, and I think I did a decent job defending conspiracy theorists. But this is a video that I made to defend being a conspiracy theorist, and we're going to watch it real quick together, and then afterwards we can talk about anything you want. So feel free to comment in the comments anything you want to talk about today, and we'll get into it after this video. We're going to watch this video together right now, so here we go.
One of YouTube's most entertaining forms. I'm talking, of course, of YouTube conspiracy videos. Science fiction for people who don't understand they're watching science fiction. Whenever I see a YouTube conspiracy video, I'm overcome with jealousy. I mean, first, there's a wave of, this guy has to be fucking kidding, right? But then it's jealousy at the sheer scale of imagination required to believe that the Denver airport was designed by the Illuminati, or that Katy Perry is actually John Benet Ramsey all grown up. Both real theories, by the way, and better than any joke I could ever devise in a million years. Now, of course, any great internet conspiracy video needs two key things. One, a wild claim that something we take for granted is actually the responsibility of robots, aliens, or US presidents who are also robots or aliens. And two, you need an eye for incredibly specific detail and an ability to make wild accusations with complete confidence.
Welcome back to another Conspiracy Theories and Chill. I started tonight's episode with a clip from a rant done by a comedian that I used to respect, but now recognize as a tool of the establishment, John Oliver, about how crazy us conspiracy theorists actually are. Now, to be fair to conspiracy theorists like me, and allow for equal time, I'll play a clip from a comedian that I do still admire on the very same topic.
There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The big, the wealthy, the real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. They're irrelevant. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets, and they own all the big media news, all the big media companies. So they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. You know something? They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table to figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers, people who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to. Good, honest, hardworking people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hardworking people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
I played those clips because tonight we're going to talk about conspiracy theories themselves, and whether or not it's actually crazy at all to be a so-called conspiracy theorist. Let's start off by looking at the term conspiracy theorist and its roots. The term conspiracy theorist was a term made popular by the CIA to stop critical thinkers from asking questions about the JFK assassination. In a memo release called Countering Criticism of the Warren Report, the CIA set out to make the term conspiracy theorist a weapon to be used against anyone who questioned the government's secret activities and programs. Let's look at the actual meanings of the words. Conspiracy is a secret plan made by two or more people to do something that is harmful or illegal, and theory is an idea or set of ideas that is intended to explain facts or events. So the term itself is a nonsense term invented to discredit any critical thought about any event that may take place because a sane person would just believe what their government and media had told them. The problem with that is our media and government are corrupt to their core and have been caught lying multiple times. In my opinion, in this time of lies, it's much saner to question things than it is to just accept everything that you're told, especially when the sources of that knowledge have so often been proven to be dangerously unreliable. But people love to mock, and conspiracy theorists are an easy target. And I find that to be very sad, not only because we are so often proven right by history, but also because I think it's just naive to believe that rich and powerful people wouldn't conspire to not only keep but grow their power and influence. The truth of it is, conspiracies are common and have been around forever. They exist on the smallest of levels and may most certainly exist among the highest of levels. To think otherwise is to simply be wrong. Now, I've been told that the right and only time to believe a conspiracy is after it's been proven to be true by establishment sources. And I just think that's wrong. I would think that's the safest time for you to believe a conspiracy, but by then, all the damage has been done. Let's use 9/11 for an example for just a second. There's plenty of evidence that the official story is just a bogus cover-up, and millions of people have died as a result of 9/11. But no one is investigating it because only crazy conspiracy theorists believe it wasn't like the government and mass media say it was, so nothing happens. That's why, no, I don't agree that the best time to believe a conspiracy is after the mainstream establishment approves of it, because by then it's too late. I believe that more people should wake up to the deep corruption that is going on in our society and seek out and search and share the truth so that we can get real investigations. I mean, it's all out there. These things are real. There are groups of powerful people who meet up regularly and have memberships in secret societies, like Bohemian Grove.
Time of evidence which would pursue us here has lost its power under these friendly trees. So shall we burn thee once again this night, and in the flames that eat thine effigy, we shall read the sign, Midsummer sets us free.
You burn me once again! Not with these flames, which hither ye have brought from regions where I reign. Ye fools and priests, I spit upon your fire.
Wow. Great son of all mortal wisdom, owl of Bohemia, we beseech thee, grant us thy counsel. O great owl of Bohemia, we thank thee for thy adjuration. Be gone, detested care, be gone. Once more, he banishes thee. Be gone, dull care. Fire shall have its will of thee. Be gone, dull care. And all the winds, they bury with thy dust. Hail, fellowship's eternal flame. Once again, midsummer sets us free.
There you see the funeral pyre burning with the effigy of a human, or it could be real, ladies and gentlemen. There's been a lot of strange going-ons in that area of Northern California, but this is what the establishment is into right here in America, the cremation of care. And this was July 15th, 2000.
You know, I had someone mock me for talking about Bohemian Grove because it was Alex Jones that got that video. Bohemian Grove is a real place, and very rich and powerful people go there every year. That ceremony you just watched, that's called the cremation of care. They perform that ceremony in front of their god Moloch to cleanse themselves of the guilt of all the things that they've done to us lesser beings over the past year. And that's just one secret organization of the wealthy and powerful. There are many more, such as the Bilderberg Group, Skull and Bones, and the Freemasons. It's naive and foolish to believe that these societies and meetings take place for no other reason than to worship demons. These groups control our world. They feel above us and are above the law. And they hide in plain sight and have the average person convinced that they don't exist. That's a dangerous amount of power. So no, I will not be silent. And I will continue to investigate conspiracies and to make these videos. And it's my hope that you won't be silent either, and that you will share this video with your friends to spread the truth that it's much saner to be into conspiracies than it is to be closed off to them for fear of being mocked. Because us conspiracy theorists are actually the same ones in the nut house. We're the canaries in the coal mine. We're the only ones trying to get to the actual truth of things and alert others, even though we get attacked for doing so. But we got to keep our heads up, and we got to fight on and spread the truth, especially if we want 1984 to stay a fiction novel, because it's damn near a history book. The direction we're heading in is scary, and the only way to fight back is with the truth. But for those of you who are still skeptical, I'd like to remind you that a lot of people have tried to tell us about these cabals and organizations that I'm talking about, these secret organizations that run everything from behind the scenes. And before you say our government would never do those kind of things, let me remind you that our government did things like Operation Paperclip, where they brought over all the German scientists, that had done horrific things during the Holocaust. I believe our government's responsible for 9/11, but even if you don't, Iraq wasn't. We went to war with them. We almost are still there. We're still in Afghanistan. Afghanistan didn't do 9/11. Operation Northwoods, that was a false flag that was proposed, went all the way up to Kennedy. Luckily, Kennedy shot it down. But that was a proposal to hijack commercial jets and blow them up, blame it on Cuba in order to start a war. I believe that's what happened on 9/11. MK Ultra, another great example of something that came out before it was proven, but ended up being proven that the government was hurting and using drugs and doing horrific things to real people, real Americans. And I just think it's important that we remember that these things started out as conspiracies and ended up being proven true. And if for the Gulf of Tonkin, for instance, if it had been exposed, maybe the Vietnam War could have been avoided. If more people knew the government planned things like Operation Northwoods, maybe they wouldn't happen. And maybe President Kennedy wouldn't be dead if he hadn't tried to disband the CIA. But that's another subject for another episode. So is MK Ultra. I got one of those coming up in the future. Thanks for watching another episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill.
All right. That's
While you're here, remember to subscribe to.
Hope you enjoyed that one. I was recently on an interview, sorry, that's going to be all scratchy to you. I had to move the microphone. But I recently did an interview on a podcast, not a podcast, it's a YouTube show, but I think it's also a podcast called Truth Wanted. And I had a really good time on their show. And I shared the link in the description for the video to watch the interview. It's about 47 minutes long, but they asked a lot of really good questions. And I think I held my own. I think I did a really good job representing conspiracy theorists. I was the first conspiracy theorist they ever had on the show. It's a show about, beliefs and what people believe to be true and why they believe it to be true. So it was really interesting for them, they said, to have a conspiracy theorist on because they'd never had one on before. And it was interesting to me because it was a chance to defend being a conspiracy theorist and why it makes sense to be one. And why it actually makes more sense to be one than to not be one. I think to not be one, you have to be coming from a place of ignorance. Oh, but Afghanistan was harboring the guy we killed in Pakistan. That's why we still need to be there, LOL. Andy says, yeah, oh yeah, that and opium and precious metals. Mostly the latter too. But they won't admit to that, but that's what they're doing right now. That and protecting holy sites. That was a lot of the reason why we went into Iraq, was their treasures and possession of certain parts of the Holy Land. That's important to the Illuminati, the cabal that runs this world, whatever they call themselves. I refer to them as the Illuminati because everyone knows who I'm talking about when I say it that way. That's just the simplest way to put it. I don't know what they call themselves. They operate through secret organizations. I know what many of those are. Bones at Yale.
Power off.
You sure my speaker shut off, I think. Skull and Bones, the Masons. And a lot of Masons will argue this point with you, or argue whether the Masons are involved in the Illuminati. And they have a valid point because at the lower levels, they're not. But at the minimal, you're a Luciferian. You just don't know it yet. I don't know what level they tell you that, but you have to accept their beliefs. And one of their beliefs is that Lucifer is the hero of the Bible. That's in the writing of the book they give you when you become a Mason. So you are Luciferian. You believe that Lucifer is the light bringer. And that alone makes you part of the cabal on the lowest of levels as like a pawn. But you're not in on it. You're not in on it till you're level 33, 32, definitely 33. 33 is the highest level. That's the one that we're talking about. People on that level of Freemasonry. They are the ones involved and let in on what's actually going on. You have to earn trust in these organizations to be part of them, like Skull and Bones. There's only 11 members picked every 3 years. They pick them in their or 2 years. They pick them in their junior year. So you can only be a member for 2 years anyway. But they're very selective about who they pick, and it's all based on how you can influence and help them, and where your family is and where you are and what your bracket is. They're not going to pick any poor kid to be a member of Skull and Bones. You know, they stick with their own. Steve says at this point, if someone still buys the 9/11 and JFK stories, they're just stupid. Yeah, I mean, that's one way of looking at it. I find it hard to call them stupid. I can't go that far because they're brainwashed is what it mostly is. They're brainwashed by the weapons of mass deception here over in the picture. And they think that what they're seeing on the news is truth. And why wouldn't they? They should be able to think that. It used to be. There was a time when it was, but that time is long past. It happened gradually over time, but the media has been taken over, not just by corporations and the establishment, but by the deep state and the CIA as well. That's on record with Operation Mockingbird. That you can look that up. They don't tell you everything. Not everything is released. We know about the things we know about that because they've been released through Freedom of Information Acts or by other means. The information that we've got our hands on supports the fact that they've done it again. Now, why would they infiltrate the media in the 60s and stop? If you look at the laws they've passed, there's no reason to think that they ever stopped, because propaganda was made legal to use against the American people in the Obama administration. You know, and you'd think that's only them supporting the military and playing military programs and supporting making cool visuals and videos for every military operation and posting and painting them in a positive light. Think it's only for that? No, there's a lot more going on. But anyways, I just lost my train of thought. I hate when I do that. But check out that interview on Truth Wanted. The link is in the description. I just want to hear what your feedback is on it, and comment on YouTube, because I'd like more open-minded people that are conspiracy theorists to be on there and participating in the conversation. I don't want it all to be just people mocking conspiracy theorists. You know, I'd like to represent both sides of the coin, and I don't want to be alone while I do it. No one's been brutal yet, but I'm waiting on it. These guys, though, they were very friendly, the ones on the show. That was a very good show. I listened to the rest of it. I was on for the first 45 minutes, but it was almost a 3-hour show, and it's a caller show. They set my call up, but the rest of them, I think, are call-ins. But it was a good time, and I think it was a good interview. I think it turned out good. I'm proud of it, which is why I'm promoting it. I'm not getting anything from them for promoting it. I just am proud of it, and I'd like for more people to see it. So check that out. And then real quick, I'll get into ways to support this show instead of just always plugging other people's shows. You can support this show in a couple different ways. One, and the one I would appreciate the most, is to support us on Patreon. Become a subscriber and support us on Patreon. That's where you go and you donate to the show. You help us get new equipment, help us get cooler things, and help us be able to have better editing software and things like that. And that's awesome if you can do that. If you can't, though, or just don't want to and like to do something for free, but you still want to help, you know, you can't be a subscriber on Patreon, but you still want to help out. Real easy way to do that is to support me on YouTube. I shared the link to my YouTube channel in the description, in the comments in this feed. So check out my YouTube channel and subscribe and like a video while you're there and comment. That's a great way to help me for free, because I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, and any interaction over there will help me show up better in YouTube's algorithm. It's just like Facebook. So if you go over there and like and share something, or comment on something, it'll help it show up better in other people's feeds. Is what on my YouTube, Steve? The video we watched today? I don't know what I was talking about when you asked that. I just noticed that question. Plus, there's about a 5 to 10 second delay between the live, what I'm actually saying, and what shows up on my phone. I have to watch the comments on my phone because I'd rather use my HD camera and my OBS software and have these neat pictures playing. I can't do any of that on my webcam from Facebook, you know, where I could see your comments. So I have to use two devices, and I'm looking at your comments on my phone, and there's about a 10-second delay. So I was giving you time to answer. Anywho, I guess I give him a little more time. Jeff says Facebook watches PSYOP. Don't share that stuff. Yeah, I don't. There's a lot of stuff that's pure propaganda. Like CRTV is pure right-wing propaganda. And what's a good left-wing example? I don't want to leave out the left wing because they're definitely guilty of it too. I'm drawing a blank though. I'm thinking about it in my head. Is it real progressives? No. That doesn't feel right to me. I kind of wish I hadn't said that because I can't stand behind it. Now I'm worried I attacked somebody. I take that back. I don't know that that's a name of a fake progressive site or not. I'm totally backing down on that. I apologize to anyone from Real Progressives if I misquoted you. But help me think of Rachel Maddow. She can be a placeholder until I think of a better left-wing organization that just shares propaganda. But Rachel Maddow is a propagandist, and she's mainstream. We'll just stick with Rachel Maddow. I need out of this trap. I'm drawing a blank. I know there's left-wing propaganda. What is it? What is it? I can see it in my head. Yeah, you know I hate that. I hate when you can see it. You can see their logo. I just can't make out the words. I lost my cigarettes. Hold on just a second. I'm going to get them out of my coat. I'll be right back. Oh, that was a close one. Andy says, what do you think about using the euphemism party of the 1% instead of defeating the Illuminati for the unknown organizations? Yeah. Yeah, because that would encompass it as well. You know, it's not everyone in the 1%, but they would be all in there. They would definitely all be in there. There's no poor people in the Illuminati. There's no poor people pulling the strings in your day-to-day life and what's going on in the world. So that's a good way of saying it. That's actually a really good point. So the party of the 1%, is that a friendlier way to say Illuminati? But see, the only thing about party of the 1% that I don't like as far as replacing the word Illuminati is it leaves out that they're Luciferian, that they are satanic and into demons and demonic ceremonies, and that's all true and real and verifiable. We watched one in the video that we watched tonight, and I could have also shared the induction ceremony into the Skull and Bones organization that was filmed on hidden camera. That is demonic as hell. Look that up. Look up the Skull and Bones initiation, and tell me that's not demonic. But they do worship demons, and they do ceremonies to these demons. That was one of them. It was called the cremation of care, and that's the demon Moloch that they burned in effigy, and then they burned an effigy to, and then they burned itself. But that's a huge 40-foot statue of the demon Moloch, the representation of the demon Moloch, which is a large owl-like figure, and that's real, and they do that every year. You can look that up, and the richest people in the world attend those kind of things. Richard Nixon used to talk about Bohemian Grove. He called it the gayest thing he had ever seen because they do a lot of sex rituals in these Illuminati societies, and a lot of satanic sex rituals are gay. They're intersexual. You're open sexually. It's part of their beliefs. It's part of their culture. Let's see. Andy said, because some people just turn off their brains when they hear Illuminati. You're right. No, you're definitely right. Isn't that messed up? You've been programmed. Like, this has nothing to do with, it's like one that has nothing to do with the other, but this has nothing to do with it, with what we're talking about. But I was listening to a podcast today, and this lady was talking about dominionism and the church's efforts to take over society. And the host told her it was kind of like a conspiracy, which it is a conspiracy, but she was offended. You know, oh, no, it's not a conspiracy. It's this is real. Conspiracies are real. Like I want us to get to a point where we stop thinking like that, because we've been programmed to think like that you should be ashamed of conspiracies, which is why I wanted to reshare that video tonight anyway. You know, because it was relevant on a few different levels with what's been going on in my life lately and with what I heard in this podcast today that made me think I need to share this again, because it's saner to question what you've been told, especially when what you've been told has been proven to be unreliable so many times. And the media has proven, see you later, Cole. The media has proven over and over again that they can't be trusted. So Jeff says, before it's news, it's fake. Wait, before it's news is a fake site. You can never find links to their propaganda. I don't know if it's considered left or right wing. And Andy says, not that they attend, but that they truly believe in it and that it has some kind of impact other than forging a bond through mutual humiliation and knowing they can blackmail one another. It's one way of looking at it. And I'm sure that's the way Nixon looked at it. And that's probably the way some of the people that participate do look at it. I think at the upper levels, though, these people are serious about it. The ones that have the ultimate power, the tops of these pyramids in these different organizations, I believe they are serious about these beliefs. Steve says, and they're pedophiles. Yes, yes, that's true as well. They believe they get power from pedophilia. That goes all the way back to Aleister Crowley. South Park even made fun of it. They believe it gives them eternal life. Extends their life. That they get youth. They can absorb youth. They also that's also part of the belief of why they want to kill or use children in a ceremony where they would sacrifice. I don't even like talking about this stuff, but it's real, you know, and they've convinced you that it's crazy to believe that that's real, but it is. You know, think of how many kids go missing every year, and then think about how much of that is sex trafficking and things that I don't even want to mention. A lot of these ceremonies do take place. There's evidence of them. You can look it up online. Reputable sources reporting firsthand accounts and experiences with these ceremonies where they've murdered and killed real people. Jeff says not only are they pedophiles, but they don't believe children are fully human. He's right. You know, well, they don't believe we're not part of their bloodline. They also believe that we're less than human. We're all parasites to them. They don't value our lives. Our lives are not as valuable as theirs in their eyes. They believe they're part of an elite bloodline. So that's where they make the separation there. But they, in these ceremonies, what I was talking about, the ones I was referencing that you can look up, I'll probably try to link one I always get myself in this kind of mess. I bring up something that I can't fully explain, and I'll always have to be like, well, I'll find the link and link the video. But I've seen some interviews with these people, and what they describe is they'll get them very afraid, very scared before they kill them, because you want to get their adrenaline up. I think there's a word for it called endochrome or something like that. I cannot think of it right now, and I hate when that happens. Maybe somebody in the comments will mention it for me, but and they drink that blood with the, it's disgusting to say out loud, but these are ceremonies that people that have been victims of these things or exposed to them have recounted, and there's too many of these stories that match each other to just dismiss them as crazy people. Plus, these ceremonies are on record in writings by Aleister Crowley. Steve brought up Aleister Crowley. They're in his writings, these different ceremonies and sex rituals. So, and he openly talked about it. And he is was one of their grand wizards and leaders of the Illuminati's weird and twisted faith. Yes, Jeff says adrenal endochrome, I think. You're right. I knew I was onto it, at least close to the word. But you know, it's hard for me to recount that stuff, because when you start saying it out loud, it sounds so twisted and so evil. You're like even while I'm starting to say it, knowing that it's true and takes place, I'm thinking, wow, this is insane. This is crazy. How can this be real? And then on the other side of that coin, it's disgusting. So you're revolted the whole time you're discussing it. You're just like, every time you're saying more of it and what's going on, and it's just revolting you. So it's on a couple different levels that this whole thing takes effect. Oh, Steve brought up spirit cooking. That's their current wizard. Is that Bravakovich, or what's her name? But she's this, she's their main witch or wizard or whatever they consider her to be. All the celebrities love her. Lady Gaga, Madonna, they all go to their parties. There's the pictures of big names. Will Ferrell was even at her party, where they were eating bodies. Like they written on the wall in blood, different things. And they got where it looks like there's dead bodies laid out in big bathtubs full of blood, and you eat them. They're edible. And it's just really twisted. I think there was even like human heads on the tables, like real actors underneath the table, like pretending to be a dead human head, just sitting real still. Very creepy stuff. And all these rich celebrities and these elites, and they're all into it. They all participate in going to that shit. There's photographs. Most of them have been photographed with this Abramovich. I don't know how to say her name. I really don't care super bad, but if someone knows how to say her name, go ahead and say it. It might be funnier if I just mess it up 16 times. Andy says, what do you think is next step for people after they have gained this knowledge and have had their eyes and minds opened up? Hypothetically, if you're able to make it to 1 million followers and wake up 1 million people all at once, what happens from there? What happens from there is we have to use our unity and our numbers as our strength, while it's still a strength, and while we even have that possibility. You know, they're trying to make it to where we'll never be able to do that, what we need to do. There's more of us than there is them. When we realize that and we come together and we stop letting ourselves be divided with all these little divisions that are going on, you're divided on multiple levels from multiple sources and multiple angles. When we get past and rise above all of that, then we can move forward united together and make the changes and make and oust these people and get rid of these organizations' hold over our society, but not until we can do that together, united, and move forward as one. I think we have a long way to go towards getting united as the first step of that. because our strength is in numbers. If we got to have bigger numbers than we have. That, not that there's not a lot of people waking up. You're seeing a large awakening. Mass numbers of awakened people, more and more each day, opening their eyes up to what's actually going on around them. But it's a scary reality, so it's a gradual process. Plus, we're up against the mass media, which is an enormously powerful propaganda machine that is on the side of the lies. So you're up against them, who a lot of people, and why wouldn't they, like I said before, consider it to be real and accurate news that they can trust. So the news is telling them that these particular people are crazy who are trying to tell them the truth. And they're believing the news because they believe the news to be true. That's a large problem. The mainstream media, I think, is our biggest enemy at this particular point of the game. I think we need to be really focused on convincing people that the mainstream media is something to be avoided, and that at least getting them to see that the main. Hey guys, welcome back. I tried doing a second feed a minute ago. My first one crashed. I don't know at what point. I noticed it late. I was in the middle of talking and I noticed that the feed had crashed. And it took me a second to realize it. So I don't know how long I was talking to myself. And then I did a second feed where I know for a fact I was talking to myself for a full 3 minutes. But now hopefully I'm live. I'm going to check and make sure and see if I'm actually live. All right, it looks like it is. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to bring my pretty face up on the screen. It looks like we're live. Thanks for coming back if you're here. I'm going to give people about 15, 20 seconds to get here, to come back in. And I'll edit this. I'll use the magic of editing on YouTube to get rid of this gap and make it look like this never happened. Although I usually include all the fuck-ups in when Facebook, I feel, interrupts the feed, which is what I think is happening when that happens. I mean, that's a paranoid thought, but I have paranoid thoughts. I've come to terms with it. You know, a lot of them are well-founded. Edward Snowden gave up his citizenship to let us know how deep the surveillance state goes. But no one seemed to notice. No one seemed to care. I care. People like us care. Not us, but your regular person didn't seem to notice, didn't seem to care. That's terrible. I'm going to pull this up on Facebook and see if I'm actually live. If you're back here, I apologize for the earlier feed crashing. This feed is to give us a chance to wrap up because I didn't feel like we got to do a full show. You know, we were in the middle of your part of the show and I hadn't even responded to a lot of your comments yet. So I wanted to do another 15 minutes over here, and we'll link it together at the end to post on YouTube. And because I archive all these on YouTube. So if you're digging these shows, you can watch any old episode over on YouTube, Me on Things and Stuff. Go over my YouTube channel and you can check out any video, any live feed, and any video I've made over there. I would appreciate that. And then like and subscribe while you're there. Well, let's see. I have a few things written down. Yes, Steve, I'm back. I crashed out. I don't know at what point I crashed out. I was just talking, and apparently at a certain point I was just talking to myself. But I'm back. I figured we'd do a little bit longer just because I didn't give you guys a chance to really talk about anything you wanted to talk about, which is what this part of the show, excuse me, is supposed to be. So it's just me and you right now, Steve. Oh, no, someone else is here. Go ahead and comment anything you want to talk about. And if you're coming late, if you come into the show late, feel free to still comment because I need ideas for videos to make for you guys to watch. And I want to hear what you want to see. You know, I'll make a video on any conspiracy. I don't have to agree with it. So comment anything you want to see on any show and anything you'd like us to talk about, and I'll make videos about it. And I'd like the input, and I would like the ideas. It's hard coming up with a video for every one of these feeds. So go ahead and comment anything you want to talk about, and I will talk about something else, because I figure we'll do another 10-15 minutes. We'll go till Babos gets home. How about that? Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. This would be a good one to end on too. You probably noticed in the news recently, it's been pretty big news in the last couple of weeks. Jim Acosta lost his press pass to the White House. And I felt like he needed to lose his press pass to the White House. And I was glad he lost it. I think more people need to lose shit like that. Anywho, everyone was outraged and up in arms. All these liberals are pissed because, you know, Acosta tends to be a liberal type leaning journalist. And so these liberals are all up in arms. Jim Acosta needs his press pass back. Oh my God. Meanwhile, in Ecuador, Julian Assange sits in an embassy where he's been stuck for what, 6 years? He can't leave, and he's being persecuted, and you know, wants to be us wanted to try him for being a traitor. You know, that's punishable by death. He risked his life. Oh, Steve's even gone. No one's here now. Julian Assange risked his life, put his life on the line to release the information that he's released. And no one's up in arms about that. Not the right people, and not enough people anyway. So I think that's the important journalist to defend. Jim Acosta, I could give a shit. Jim Acosta lost his press pass. I don't care. I'm not impressed. But Julian Assange, I think we need to be defending Julian Assange. We need to be up in arms as a society over the persecution of Julian Assange. A man should be free. And he's not, because he shared too much truth about too many important and powerful people, and they want him to pay for it. So he's trapped. And they're getting ready to put him on trial here. And I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means he's got to actually physically show up, and what they can do to him if he physically does show up, because they won't even allow his lawyers into the embassy to meet with him, to meet with their client for this case. It's outrageous what's happening to Julian Assange. And that is where we should be outraged. Our outrage should not be placed for Jim Acosta. I believe that Trump was right in revoking Acosta's press pass. I didn't even disagree with it. You know, I don't think he physically assaulted or hurt that woman, but he had went over his time. She went for the microphone, and he moved her arm. He needed to just wrap it up and give her the microphone. It was her turn. The way I understand it, it was her turn. But that's neither here nor there to me. What I think is more important is who's the real journalist in that situation, Acosta or Assange? I believe Julian Assange is the real journalist, and who actually needs to be defended, and who needs to be protected, and especially the one who needs it right now, because he's the one that's on trial and being persecuted for releasing the truth. Being a vessel that people like Snowden and who else, Manning, were able to use to release their information. Where else can you go to release things like that, to be a whistleblower and release classified information? Where else can you go to do that? WikiLeaks provides a source, a place to do that, to be able to come forward. And it's important. And I think that that's something that we should be defending. I don't really give a shit what happens to Jim Acosta or CNN. I don't think you should watch any mainstream media at all. As I was saying before, I don't know when we got cut off, but I was trying to say the mainstream media is our biggest enemy. But let's see. What else do I got written down? Because we'll go ahead and wrap up here in about 5 minutes. I'm going to try and ramble on for 5 more minutes. And if you have anything you want to talk about, there's one person here right now. Go ahead and comment. And like I said, if you're here later on, comment too. I'll respond to your comments. But, oh, something I'm researching and trying to make a video on. And let me know if you think this is an interesting topic, or if you have any links or things you'd like to add or interest in this at all. The concept or possibility that Tesla actually did invent time travel. The ability to time travel, that he not only invented it, but did time travel. He claims to have, but did he? I'm thinking about, well, not thinking about, I'm researching making a video on that subject. And, but we'll do that in the future, and we'll do other videos in the future. Another video I have coming up in the future for you is, that I'm researching, is on the Oklahoma City building. But comment in the comments anything you'd like to see me cover, and we'll do those too. I'm always looking for ideas for these videos. But thanks again for stopping by. This has been Conspiracy Theories and Chill, and I'll see you guys right here on the next episode. Hey Jay, are you still here? Oh, I hate that I can't see, because my phone doesn't show me who showed up. So Steve and Jay, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you guys next time.